When a government shutdown occurs, there are many people that are affected when this happens. Today I'll be discussing, should government workers continue to be paid during a shutdown? To start off with, what is a shutdown? So a government shutdown occurs when non-essential offices of the government close due to the lack of approval for the federal budget for the upcoming fiscal year. One example of why the government shuts down can be shown from the 2018 shutdown, when bills like DACA were heatedly debated between both Republicans and Democrats. So some topics I'm going to discuss today are going to be some of the people that are affected or that amount, as well as the government agencies that you may use on a day-to-day basis. Some of the myths that are about shutdowns that you may think that are true but aren't really. There's just be a couple, as well as the economical difficulties that are enticed or are endowed because of a shutdown, as well as my own personal experiences of things that I have seen during a shutdown. So to start off with, the people who are affected from a shutdown. So there are over 13 million people who are directly affected from the shutdown. These could be people who are furloughed. These are people who may lose their jobs. These are people who may be on welfare and things of that sort, or any program that like government assistance or tuition for college and things of that nature. These are the people who are directly affected when a government shuts down, that these services are no longer available. So only 10% of the 13 million, or roughly around 10%, is military. So this is a very small number of people compared to the very broad scope of everyone who is affected. But around 2 million government employees are furloughed, who are not working during this time because of a shutdown. These are people that may have their jobs removed entirely, as well as just removed from work. But most of the time, these government employees do go back eventually, but it's the non-essential government workers who are removed for the time being. So to continue about the workers, some of the government agencies that are affected I have listed here as like the Department of Agriculture, Department of Commerce, the FDA, IRS, the educational system, Homeland Security. These are many of the affected agencies. Some statistics that go behind it could be from that over 17 U.S. intelligence agencies were closed in the 2013 shutdown, as well as the 35,000 of the 55,000 Department of Transportation's workers were furloughed as deemed non-essential during this time, and they were removed when the 2013 shutdown occurred. So some unaffected agencies some agencies that are unaffected during the government shutdown. It could be Social Security. People who are on Social Security. This is people who have their taxes constantly taken out of the people who have taxes constantly taken out of their paychecks for Social Security. The elderly people are going to still receive their paychecks for this. Another unaffected agency could be like the Postal Service. The Postal Service is actually separated from the U.S. government's funding, or it's already pre-funded internally beforehand, so that when a shutdown occurs, you can still get your mail and you can pay your bills and things like that. On to the next, some of the myths that are about a shutdown. So one of the myths was there is a bill that is guaranteeing military pay, and this is actually false. Although it was in 2013 when President Barack Obama did pass a bill saying the government employees will continue to be paid during the shutdown. So many of the government employees actually went back to work and continued to do the day-to-day things, but no bill has ever been passed permanently. Another myth was that the government actually saves money, and that's actually false. The government actually loses billions of dollars because of a shutdown, because of furloughed employees, and many of the things that go into the next topic I'll be discussing, which will be the economical difficulties during a shutdown. So around $24 billion is lost because the government shuts down. So some of the reasons why the government loses so much money will be because many of the programs that they had active at that time are actually shut off, and the restarting of these programs actually costs time, the work. So this is also included in the workforce and the time it does that. The planning just for a shutdown is very large. So people devoting their time to planning for a shutdown rather than working through it because you didn't need to even worry about shutdown. These are also included the economical difficulties as well. So workers' inability to also pay bills is also one of the main things, because I mean, if you're not being paid, you can't pay your bills, you go late on a payment, you pay more, credit cards, mortgages, things like that. And during a government shutdown in 2013, over 120,000 private sector jobs are actually lost because of a shutdown occurring. So this is just the smaller scope of, like, we're trying to consolidate, we need to cut loose ends, and people will eventually lose their jobs, or could lose their jobs because of a shutdown. So my own personal experience, I've actually seen people go into payday loans and such like that. In me being in the military, it's actually very wrong for you to do payday loans. We actually offer a lot of services that loan out money during a government shutdown, so you don't have to go out and take a payday loan with a very large interest and whatnot. But I have seen people do it, and it is unfortunate. I have seen some civilian personnel lose their jobs as well because they were deemed unessential when they came back. Because I mean, we're operating without them, so what? Well, then we're not going to need you when you get back, and they're actually caught up and have their job and told to look elsewhere. I've also seen people lose their security clearances, so your financial ability to hold yourself into those means and keep yourself into those means is actually taken very seriously. So people lose their security clearances because they go late on a credit card or a car payment, things of that nature. So to summarize, there are many problems with the government shutdown. I hope I have enlightened you for why workers should continue to be paid during this time. You always want to keep people employed so that work continues, and you don't have to lose money in that sense, and you don't have to worry about a government shutdown. And just to recap, there's people that are affected, the agencies that are affected from a shutdown, some of the myths that I have discussed about, some economical difficulties that you may see or may not see during a government shutdown, as well as the cost of shutdowns, as well as my own personal experience in this. And I hope you can continue to support the government during these trying times. Thank you.